In the world of General Hospital, the tension continues to rise as family secrets, betrayal, and manipulation take center stage. A web of lies weaves a dangerous narrative involving Christina, Ava, Rick, and Alexis, with an intricate plot of blackmail and deception at its heart. The following is a complete rewrite of the events, filled with suspense and emotional depth, offering a fresh perspective on a story that involves deep family conflict. Christina Corinthos Davis had always prided herself on being the quiet observer in her family's tumultuous life. But lately, things had shifted. The once secure foundation of her family was crumbling, and Christina was caught at the center of it all. After discovering that Ava Jerome and Rick Lansing were working together to blackmail her mother, Alexis, Christina knew she had to act. It all began when Christina overheard a conversation between Ava and Rick, a conversation that made her blood run cold. They were plotting to use her mother's greatest mistake, removing the brakes on Rick's car, as leverage. This dark secret, hidden for years, was about to come to light. And if they had their way, Alexis's career, and perhaps her freedom, would be destroyed. Christina, however, was not about to let her mother go down without a fight. After all, despite Alexis's flaws, she had always been there for her, fighting through every storm. The revelation of this plot pushed Christina into action. She decided to confront both Ava and Rick and demand answers. She set a trap, a carefully crafted plan to bring them both into Alexis's office, where she could face them head-on. The stage was set, and Christina was ready to take control. When Ava and Rick arrived, Christina greeted them with a facade of calm, offering them a drink and instructing them to wait for her mother. The tension was palpable, but Christina maintained her composure. She poured the water, making sure each glass was filled to the brim, allowing her visitors to settle in. She asked them about the deal they had struck, though she already knew what they were up to. The seconds ticked by, and the silence between them was thick, full of unspoken threats. But there was one thing Christina hadn't accounted for: her ability to see through the lies, and her deep need for justice. As Ava and Rick sipped their water, Christina felt her heart race. She had been preparing herself for the moment when this confrontation would come to a head. But the water, laced with a mild sedative, began to take effect. Slowly, the two villains slumped into their seats, their eyes growing heavy, their defenses slipping away. Within minutes, both Ava and Rick were fast asleep, their consciousness slipping into a deep slumber. It was the perfect opportunity for Christina to take action. When they woke, they would be in her domain. The game had shifted, and now, Christina had the upper hand. Hours later, Ava and Rick stirred, groggy and confused. Their surroundings were unfamiliar, the sterile white walls and cold, clinical furniture in sharp contrast to Alexis's familiar office. They were in a small, abandoned house on the outskirts of town, a place Christina had chosen carefully for its isolation. There were no prying eyes, no way for anyone to hear their cries for help. Just the three of them, Christina, Ava, and Rick. As they regained their bearings, Ava's sharp eyes flicked around the room. She immediately understood the situation: they were trapped. Her hand instinctively went to her throat, but no signs of restraints met her touch. She stood up, scanning the room, her mind racing. Finally, her gaze landed on Christina, who stood coolly across the room. "What do you want from us, Christina?" Ava asked, her voice dripping with venom. "You've got us here, but now what?" Christina's lips curled into a faint smirk as she regarded Ava. "I want you to return the money. All of it." Ava and Rick exchanged confused glances. Rick, who had been uncharacteristically silent, opened his mouth to speak, but Christina interrupted him, her voice cutting through the tension. "I know you two are blackmailing my mother," Christina continued, her tone cold. "You've been using that secret to extort her for far too long. But now, it's my turn to take control. You're going to return every penny you've taken from her, and if you don't, well, I'm sure you can imagine the consequences." Ava took a step forward, a defiant glint in her eyes. "And if we refuse?" Christina's gaze hardened. "Then I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you've been up to. Your little scheme will be exposed, and there will be no place for you to hide." Rick's face tightened, his lips pressed into a thin line. He had always been a master of manipulation, but even he couldn't deny the danger of their current situation. Christina was no longer the naive young woman they had underestimated. She had grown into someone much more formidable, a force to be reckoned with. Ava sneered, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her bravado. She knew Christina wasn't bluffing. If Christina had managed to get them here, there was no telling what else she was capable of. The room seemed to close in around her, and her mind raced for a way out. "I don't have all day," Christina said, her voice icy. "The clock is ticking. Make your choice." Rick and Ava exchanged another glance, each weighing the options in their heads. They had been pushing Christina's mother for too long, and now they were face to face with the one person who could bring it all crashing down. Ava let out a frustrated sigh. "You think this will be the end of it, Christina? You think we'll just walk away? You're not as clever as you think." Christina raised an eyebrow. "I'm clever enough to know that you won't risk everything just for money. But I can make your lives miserable. I can ruin everything you've built." For a long moment, there was only silence. Ava's and Rick's minds were whirling, trying to come up with a way out. But Christina had them cornered. They could either return the money and walk away with their dignity, or what was left of it, intact, or they could face the wrath of the entire Corinthos family. Finally, Ava broke the silence. "Fine," she spat, her voice filled with bitterness. "We'll return it. But mark my words, Christina, this isn't over. You've only just begun to realize what you've gotten yourself into." Christina's smile remained unyielding, the power shifting back into her hands. "We'll see," she replied coldly. And with that, the game was won. But as Christina watched Ava and Rick leave the house, a chill ran down her spine. This victory may have been hers for now, but in the world of General Hospital, the next betrayal was never far behind. This intense moment marks a turning point for Christina, who has proven that she's not just another pawn in her family's drama. She is a player now, and the stakes have never been higher. As the plot unfolds, the tensions between family members, lies, and power plays are sure to continue. But for Christina, one thing is clear: she will fight for her family, no matter the cost.